What's up YouTube? Drew here. We have some breaking news today as we now know that Tom Sawyer Island, the Rivers of America, and the Liberty Square Riverboat will have their final day of operation on July 6th as Disney prepares to start work on the biggest transformation in Magic Kingdom's history, including an all-new Cars-themed area named Piston Peak National Park and the first ever land themed after Disney villains. So with that closing date announcement, we got some brand new details. With that being said, let's get to it. First up, we have a brand new, more updated piece of concept art for Piston Peak National Park, which the name of this area was just revealed, this expansion of Frontierland, and I've got to say in full transparency, this piece of concept art, in my opinion, is 1,000 times better than the original piece of art that we got last August, right after D23 Expo ended. There is a ton of water in this concept art, which, as a massive fan of Tom Sawyer Island and the Rivers of America myself, that was one of my main concerns with the original concept art. And now knowing that right as you're walking into Frontierland through Liberty Square, the first thing that you're going to see is a massive waterfall right behind the current loading area for the Liberty Bell. That structure is staying, and then right behind that you're going to have this gorgeous waterfall, which in my opinion looks very reminiscent of what we see with Grizzly Peak over at Disney California Adventure. So if that makes the final product in this grand scale that we expect and know from Disney, well, I think that that's going to be a massive win. Also, the fact that the little walkways, those wooden walkways leading from the beginning of Frontierland all the way up to Tiana's Bayou Adventure, that is still there in the concept art, and there's water next to it. So at least from what we're seeing, a lot of the vibes of Tom Sawyer Island and the Rivers of America in certain sections of this area, I think that atmosphere and energy are going to be brought back in potentially an even better way than we have now, which makes me very optimistic. Also, something worth mentioning here, we have Disney Starlight Dream the Night Away, which officially debuts on July 20th. Magic Kingdom's all-new nighttime parade. Well, those walkways are going to be open for the beginning stages of this project, which is incredible for guest flow. It's going to take Disney a while for this project to get fully underway, where we see full construction walls, the river drained, all these walkways closed off. So if you're headed to Magic Kingdom soon and you're sad to see this area go, well, definitely look forward to Disney Starlight, and at least those walkways are going to be open for the time being. And it is also worth noting that starting on July 7th, immediately once these areas close, the Walt Disney World Railroad is going to operate back and forth between the Magic Kingdom Main Street station and the new Fantasyland station. So unfortunately, for years, up until Villains Land opens, which we don't even know when that's going to be happening yet, the Walt Disney World Railroad is going to operate back and forth, and the train's actually going to go backwards between these locations without doing that full circle loop of Magic Kingdom, which it's unfortunate that we are losing the railroad in its full form. But I have to say, Disney didn't even really need to operate it back and forth if they didn't want to, but they are. And they're actually going to the lengths of adjusting the seats on the railroad coaches themselves so that you don't get motion sickness going backwards on that path. Which I will say, I give credit where credit is due. Obviously Disney World operations can't control that this Magic Kingdom expansion is impacting the railroad. This is the best that we can have for now. Now, moving back on over to Piston Peak National Park, looking at this concept art again, I will say, if you're looking at the actual layout of this on-ride experience with this updated concept art, everything looks so much better here. One of my favorite parts of the Liberty Bell is the kinetic energy of how the boat moves through Magic Kingdom, the whistle, it connects everything in that whole section of the park. And when you have an attraction moving through this whole section of the park, it's going to feel very alive, but not just with the actual cars on the ride themselves. There's snow-capped mountains, there's waterfalls, there's geysers, there's mini fountains, there's rockwork. This looks so much better. And I think my favorite part about all of this is that it's all original, exclusive to Magic Kingdom. This isn't a clone of Radiator Springs out at California Adventure. This is all 100% original, research and development exclusively for Magic Kingdom, which is the most visited theme park in the world. So while I am sad to say goodbye to Tom Sawyer Island and the Rivers of America, there is absolutely no denying that this is an incredible boost for Magic Kingdom, for the general guest, and Cars is one of Disney's most profitable franchises. That's not even including Villains Land, which is going to be right next door. So for the average guest, this is awesome. Also with the originality here, one of my favorite details that we also have so far is that the pre-show for this rally race attraction is going to feature an original character named Ranger J. Audubon Woodlore, which is an actual very fun nod to the character J. Audubon Woodlore from some of Disney's classic shorts back in the 1950s. And he will be appearing in audio animatronics figures form, a full-sized car with like what we've seen over at Radiator Springs Racers, also in Cars Land at Disney California Adventure. So physical investment, animatronics, full budget, that's what we need. And so far, at least I think that's what we are seeing with this project. Also worth noting that in this article, Disney did say that Imagineers are hard at work on Villains Land in an incredibly twisted scale. So I really hope that Disney kind of leans into these ominous tones of Villains Land. And my hope is that at Destination D23, this upcoming August, at the end of August, August 29th through August 31st, we get a full-scale model of the actual final product of what exactly this Cars area is going to look like, and also how Villains Land is going to fit in next door. Because Villains Land, in my opinion, is one of the most anticipated offerings, new projects ever in the history of Disney parks. And when you are transforming such a massive part of Magic Kingdom, you have to get this right. So I really hope Destination D23 we get some specifics of how all of this is going to connect. But the last big thing I will say on regards to connection and how all of this is going to flow and kind of make sense in the Magic Kingdom layout, guest flow, storyline, all of that, is that when you are waiting in line for Haunted Mansion, for example, Disney confirmed today you are not going to be able to see or hear the vehicles. That's going to keep Haunted Mansion in Liberty Square to where you don't have that sound bleed and where it just doesn't make sense. You're gonna have the natural barrier of all the trees and the rock work. And then with Walt Disney Imagineering, with the technology that they have, well, for example, let's say the pitch of the vehicles with how they're moving through the ride, well, if you make that layout appropriate to where that sound it doesn't bleed, well, that allows your story to make sense in the park. So if everything is done right here, to where Walt Disney Imagineering uses the technologies and storytelling techniques that they always do, and they use the natural environments like the trees, and then you design everything to where the story makes sense, to where it doesn't interfere with what you already have at the park, I am optimistic now for this project for the first time ever, which I really was against it up until today, but only time will tell because construction hasn't started yet, and until this project is open, until this project delivers on what they are promising right now, the jury is still out. And I also will say that I want Zsolt Hormé leading this project in regards to the design of the rockwork. If you don't know, Zsolt Hormé is a legendary Disney Imagineer, most notably known for some of the best rockwork formations ever done at Disney parks. Zsolt actually worked on Cars Land at California Adventure, Pandora, the world of Avatar out here at Animal Kingdom, and most recently Fantasy Springs over at Tokyo Disney Sea. Some of the most iconic rockwork formations ever done in the history of Disney parks. And when you're doing a project of this scale, in my opinion, you have to have Zsolt Hormé and his rockwork team leading the work here. So I'm just throwing that out there now. Well, it's not confirmed yet. That is my hope for a future announcement, and I would be shocked if he's not involved. All of this screams Zsolt Hormé to me. So stay tuned for that. Also, the fact that we don't know yet what is happening with the Liberty Bell. In my opinion, you have to preserve the Liberty Bell in some way, shape, or form. You cannot demolish this iconic riverboat. This has to be put somewhere on the world for people to experience, for future generations to experience, even if it's not moving in the Magic Kingdom Rivers of America. So, while I am cautiously optimistic, I need those two things to still happen for me to be more on board with this project. And if you aren't already, make sure to follow me over on Twitter at DrewDisneyDude and Instagram, Drew the Disney Dude. That's where I shared this news with all of the details before I have time to work on these long form videos with everything in one take. I appreciate you all watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one.